Morning, morning. How you doing?
Sure.
That's cool. That's cool. So y'all ready for me to start, or you got to get me wait for anybody else to come on in?
There should be students maybe popping in, but you can go ahead and get started.
Okay. Um, I know I spoke with one of the instructors. I got the request this morning, but I wasn't able to take it because I have a emergency meeting at noon. So I apologize about that. I know I said I could do it, but I can't do it. But if you can get everybody in, the young lady just told me that you was able to bring another classroom in. So if that's possible, if so everything's fine, that'd be great. But I told them they could just send me a link to reschedule later, and we'll get them squared away from now. If that's okay.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll start off. How you guys doing? I am Deonte Burden. I am an accountant, and it's been a. I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak with you guys this morning. Again, this is a consumer economics class. You guys are talking about accounting and tax season right now.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. Just give you a
Correct.
little. Okay, great, great. Well, let me just give you a little background information about me. Again, my name is Deonte Burden. I am an accountant by profession, and I'm also a serial entrepreneur. What I mean by serial entrepreneur, I have bought, sold, lost, created probably about 20 different businesses over my life. My main business is my tax business, and I'm also an active YouTuber. My YouTube channel is Mr. Short Dollar, where we talk about personal finance, business, entrepreneurship, and real estate investing. And I've owned a business service firm, Majestic Business Services, for the past. This is our 20th year in business. And with Majestic, we are a one-stop shop small businesses where we do bookkeeping, tax prep, payroll, and consulting services. Okay, and going back to what we're talking about today, we are knee deep in tax season. So that's what we're going through right now. And this is my main money making time of the year. So I'm going to give you guys information about the actual accounting industry, how to get started in the business, give you a little background information in regards to my history, also give you an idea about the tax industry, how I got started, and then answer you guys questions after that. That's okay. Just to kind of start everything off, again, my background, I have a bachelor's in finance from Georgia State University. I also have a master's in supply chain management from Clayton State University. I've been in the accounting industry for about 25 years. I started getting into the industry because the magnet program in my high school was financial services. So we actually from 10th through 12th grade, we worked in dealing with different facets of the financial service industry, that being accounting, banking, lending, things like that. And then the capstone of our senior year, we all worked at a bank the second half of our senior that semester. So that's what got me started. But I went the non-traditional route. I went into the military first. I went into the military, did my time in the military, then got out and finished school. I went to school some when I was in the army, but I finished everything up at Georgia State once I got out. And just to kind of give you a little background information, just from an educational standpoint, I don't know how many of you guys are actually interested in getting accounting, but it's an awesome field. One thing about it is that what I always recommend anyone, unless you know for sure that you want to be an accountant, when you want to go to business school, try to get you an advanced business degree. And what I mean by advanced business degree, I wouldn't be so stuck more so on just getting a straight business degree. Your advanced business degrees are your ones like finance, economics, decision sciences. And the reason why I say that is because you can get those degrees and you can do the analytical work that comes along with them, and you can do a lot of other jobs down, if that makes sense. If you have just a straight business or a management degree, you can only do those particular jobs. But if you have those advanced business degrees, you can do those jobs and everything up under it. And that's why, when you get out of college, you'll find you have what you want to do, then you have what's available. And so at that particular time, there were accounting jobs, and I liked accounting, so I went in with that to kind of give you an idea with the difference between accounting and finance. Accounting deal with everything from present to past. Finance deal with everything from present to future. So accounting is more of your recording, investigative work, and everything. Finance is more quantitative, projecting, forecasting, a lot more mathematics that's dealing with finance. Okay, so that was the difference with that. I uh, would say that again. The only way that I would, if you know you want to be an accountant, to get the accounting degree, because unfortunately for me, I can sit for the CPA exam, but I probably what I was not a probably I would need 120 hours of accounting uh, um, coursework, and that will equal out a whole nother degree. And I could get a master's degree and still take some accounting classes, but 20 years in business, I think I'm a little comfortable now, so it's not necessarily a need. But if you do want to get in accounting, be an accountant long term, I would advise you to go get an accounting degree. The only thing that's kind of a little tricky about that is that you really don't know what you really want to do. Number one, when you first get to college, you're gonna take one or two classes, and that may change what you want to do. Then when you get into actual the workforce, you that can kind of change the scope depending on what you want to do also. But I will tell you guys, just to kind of give you guys an idea, when we start talking about accounting and finance and doing that whole financial services industry, the world's always going to need two things, and that's thinkers and fixers. That's never going to change. Okay, technology will take the place of some jobs, especially for doers, but the world's always going to need thinkers and fixers. So if you can think and create, or if you can fix and put something back together, the world's always going to have a place for you. That's just something to keep in mind when we start talking about make yourself recession proof. So you always be needed. And I talk a lot about it on my YouTube channel as well. But I'll give all that information once I get done with everything. But that's why I want you guys to kind of look at in regards to accounting. There are a lot of different aspects you can deal with in regards to accounting. Because accountants will always be needed. You're always going to need somebody to actually do the reporting, the matching up. At the end of the day, I don't care how big a corporation is or how successful it is. If the numbers and the finances are off, they got to shut it down. You hear about it all the time, where the government, private companies, public companies, it happens all the time in regards to if their books are not right, they getting audited. IRS is coming in, they get misrepresented if those financials aren't together. So you got to make sure that you have that together. To give you kind of like different opportunities in regards to accounting. You can work. I personally, when I started, I learned to cut my teeth in accounting. I did more of what's called general accounting, and that's where we did pretty much everything. And that was probably the best thing for me because I had some pretty good mentors. And with general accounting, you deal with every facet, being the receivable with the money coming in, the payables, the money going out, the general ledger, just knowing which accounts to put everything in. So I kind of got a good taste of all that at one particular time. But going to some organizations, just say if you're going to like a Coca-Cola or General Electric, they may have a whole department just for accounts receivable or accounts payable or just your ledger matching and everything. So again, I was working with not necessarily a smaller firm, but it was a mid-sized firm. But I was able to get my hands and experience with all that. But just something to kind of keep in mind, depending on bigger or the organization that you could go to, you may not necessarily be an opportunity to get experience with that. It's not a bad thing. It's just they just operate differently. Some careers to deal in accounting, you have cost accounting, and that's mostly done in like production with your plants or anything where they're making particular things. Just say it was a plant where they make bicycles or produce certain goods. They deal a lot with cost accounting where they're matching up, the particular items that are getting made. Forensic accounting, that's where you see a lot of fraud analysis where, sometimes where people deal in the banking industry or some larger corporation, they'll send the forensic accountants to actually do a detailed search into the account, see if anyone's done anything wrong. Managerial accounting. Managerial accounting is more so, it's a holistic view or a whole view of certain accounting practices and tasks to kind of make sure things are done in a correct and efficient and effective manner. So there are a lot of different opportunities, and then you can get also your CPA, which is your certified public accountant. And to become a CPA, every state has their own criteria for that. Most of them are kind of like in the same little genre. Most of them, you have to have so many hours of accounting, so many years of experience. You have to take three different sets of tests. And I don't have my CPA. Didn't ever really think about getting it, but it's a great, awesome thing to get. But most of the time, even with CPAs, but I deal with CPAs all the time. CPAs have different things that they may do. They're more so on the auditing side. They don't necessarily into the inputting side. What I mean by auditing, they're going by and double checking everything. And some CPAs typically can make work for sort of bigger firms like Ernst and Young or Deloitte, but then other ones kind of just stay in a particular industry. Some CPAs may be versed with insurance, some may be versed with dealing with hospitals, some may be versed with dealing with banks, and that's kind of how they roll. But again, that's a great designation to have if you're going to be working in the accounting industry. So it's just kind of something to put in mind with that. To go in regards to what I did and give a little tips into my story. I started my company back in, oh Lord, what was that, 01, 02, when we 2000, yeah, 2001, because it's 20 years this year. I actually was doing taxes and bookkeeping on the side while also working, and from that point, I say the first 5 years kind of just juggled that and having a job, and we just started expanding. I started working at a local radio show, giving tax tips and everything. Then my business just kind of took off, and from that point, we've I managed to do that for about 15 years, holding down a job and working the business. And then that 15th year, I decided to go 100% self-employed. So that's pretty much all I do is for with a firm. And again, we do bookkeeping, tax prep, payroll, consulting service, anything pretty much any small business, mom and pop or a mid-sized business would need. And right now, this is our crunch time, which is tax season. I know you guys have done some research and have some, conversation in regards to tax season. Tax, in regards to, just income taxes period, that is the fee or surcharge that the government charges, each citizen that's working for part against their wage to pay for certain services that the government gives out. That may be, just to run the government, to work on roads, to pay for pay for different government agencies, be it the military, be it certain medical things. But that's what the income tax is taken out for. And what happens with, in a nutshell, when as far as the process of filing, the government doesn't know if you're married. The government doesn't necessarily know if you have children. They don't necessarily know if you have a business. So that's the opportunity, because they're saying, depending on how you file in general, being single, head of household, meaning you have dependents, or married filing jointly, married filing separately. They don't know that. So what they're doing is they're just looking at the income you made, and they're looking at the taxes you will be paying if you were just say a single individual. So when you file, that's where you'll let them know how you're electing. If you're married, you have dependents, and if you have other things you brought to the table, being if you have a home, you have rental property, you have a business, they're giving you an opportunity to report that information to them so they can make certain deductions. And if you pay on their scale, they're saying you should have paid X amount of dollars in taxes for the wage you made under the way you signed. And if you pay too much, you'll get a refund. If you didn't pay enough, you'll owe. So that's kind of like taxes in a nutshell, how that goes. And like I said, I open the floor for you guys to ask any questions that you have, and just get a kind of idea of my schedule just during tax season. Just let you guys know, I being a business owner, my trek is a little different because I work on the business instead of in the business. So I'm going to give you two perspectives: working in the business and working on the business. And when you're working in the business, just a regular preparers, they're pretty much, I have an intake process that I use pretty much at my systems. I have over 40 people working for me nationwide. I run a pretty much a virtual based tax system. So I have tax preparers all around the country. I have clients all around the world. And what happens is they get their clients. I pay them a commission for processing the taxes. Everything's done in the clouds. So from that point, we have the security measures set up, but the system is still the same. Okay, so the basic system is we have the basic intake process where one of my preparers will bring a client in. They'll get their basic information just to make sure, they are who they say they are on paper. They'll process the return, and then when they process the return is sent to the IRS. Usually, we'll use like what's called an actual funding bank. That's like an intermediary. So if it leads from my office to the bank to the IRS, the IRS will receive the return, and they'll look at it to match up that the names, the social security number, the jobs, everything it matches, and then they'll send immediately a status back to the bank. Then the status goes to my office. If everything matches, they'll let everything is fine. We'll get the status. If something is wrong, we'll have to go back and correct it to say, hey, listen, it was a digit. The IRS kickback that said the name is maybe spelled wrong. The one of the dependents, the social is a digit off or something. We need to get that corrected. We'll make the correction and go through the process again. The reason why we use that actual intermediary bank in between from our office to the IRS, when if in the event if a person gets a refund, what'll happen is they'll actually when money comes back from the IRS, just said IRS has processed it, and they're saying, hey, they had an overage, and they're sending the refund back. What they do is the bank receives the money, they'll take our portion of our fees out, and then they'll give the remaining refund back to the customer. Okay. Now, if the customer doesn't want to do that, they can just pay us outright. We can go from there. But that's just typically how we the process is done. Couple points of emphasis I want to give with that is that you want to constantly make sure. Well, before I go into that, let me just give my on my side. That's just a typical person that works in the tax office. Me being the owner, my thing is a little different because I'm always looking at the different segments I have. I pretty much set my people up in teams, and so I try to keep it in more than 5 people on a team. One person being a manager on a team, and so if they have issues coming up, just say if those errors and stuff coming up, they will let the manager know. The manager try to correct it at that level. If the manager can't, then they'll get back with me. My job is, as the owner, and I'm trying to always strategize, is try to get more managers to get more people, because at the end of the day, the percentage they're making, in regards to the preparer fees they have, I'm always trying to increase more money for myself because I'm going to pay them a fair amount. I give 60% commission on all my preparers, but that 40%, I want to get as many of those 40, much of that 40% as I can, and that's what in theory what we call that scaling. Scaling is actually doing something and actually add more and more numbers to it, so you can make more and more revenue for it. We're doing the least. If that makes sense. So what I'm always trying to do is find more people in to actually so we can scale more and more, and also get good managers in so they can make sure that their people are doing the right things, and also just paying everybody accordingly. And that's typically how the system goes with that. I'm always constantly doing that, make sure the numbers are right, make sure if anything can be done more efficiently and effectively, relaying it to the managers and make sure they're taking care of everybody. And but I'm also always checking on everything, and I always have a person, maybe intermediary, sometime between me and them, to make sure everything is fine. Go back to a couple points of emphasis. You constantly want to make sure you're learning new and updated tax laws. Laws are changing all the time. 2 weeks ago, I don't know if you guys know, they had the American Rescue Plan that came out, where it was actually the third stimulus plan. You had a lot of laws that got changed from 2.5 months prior in December, where we had a second stimulus package. So a lot of tax laws got changed in the middle of tax season. So again, you had everybody scrambling to learn these new tax laws that just came in from a change from 2 months prior, and how we're going to have to make the adjustments. And a lot of those adjustments, the IRS just said, we'll fix it and we'll just let everybody know. But that's just one of the things you got to kind of make sure you stay abreast of all the tax laws. You just can't be complacent from year to year with doing it, especially when you have longevity in this business. You constantly need to keep reviewing your system. That's one of the things I always had to make sure of with me, is that I want to make sure everything's running as smooth as possible. You don't want any kind of glitches or bumps. And when you do have those, learn from them, try to fix it. Make sure you're talking to your people to kind of find out where they're having challenges from, see if you can correct it, because you want everything running as smooth as possible. Go to as many classes and seminars. When you get in business, no matter if you're in business or just period, whatever you do, you want to make a commitment to lifelong learning. You always want to make sure, I always use the adage of always constantly sharpening your saw. So you always want to make sure that you're staying abreast of all the new changes with tax laws, systems, pay rates, software. You never want to get behind. You never want to feel comfortable, because at the end of the day, business is business. And at the end, and if you're not always trying to improve yourself or improve your business, you can actually get leapfrogged out, or you can kind of really just pull yourself out of it by not trying to keep up with the crowd. Okay. And so I always want to recommend people try to go to as many classes and seminars for you and your people as possible. The other thing is, another thing is very, very important. You want to make sure you're investing a lot into yourself, your team, and your company. Always make sure your people getting trained with the latest systems and technology. I always want to keep putting money into them, making sure, because the more they know and the better they can run, the more money they can make for me. So that's just that, and that's very important to me with that and stuff. So I just want to kind of share that with you guys. I'm going to open the floor if you guys got any questions of me right now. Ms. Swan, you're on mute. Your phone. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I told them if they have questions to type it in the chat box. We have about 5 minutes left before the bell rings.
Okay.
So anybody in person or remote have any questions for Mr. Burden? Anything to do with taxes or accounting, even if you didn't talk about it. Yeah. Hold on, I think we got one coming. Okay.
Do you find that a business change for accounting with all the online programs people do for tax for free? There's been a percentage increase each year in regards. The question was, do you find a business change for accountants with all the online programs people do for tax for free? There has been a decline over the each year in regards to the actual amount of people that you get to do your taxes, because people are doing them themselves for free. But I mean, keep in perspective, of 326 million people in the United States of America, and so probably 2/3 of them are working, more than 2/3 is working. There'll still never be enough preparers to handle the people that need their taxes done. I mean, there still never be enough to do it, even with people that are doing it themselves. The only thing about it, and there is a drop, but it's not a drop where you're like, okay, we're really losing a lot.
What I'm doing.
Do you find people making mistakes when they do tax themselves? Oh, absolutely. Now there's nothing wrong. Now again, there's nothing wrong with trying to do it yourself. You want to change your own tire, you want to paint your house or something like that. But at the end of the day, some things you probably do need a professional to do. If your taxes are probably pretty much just cut and dry, just mean you have a W-2 or something like that. I don't necessarily know if it's just more from that point of comfort level if you want to do it, because the way the softwares are now, they do the Q&A, they ask you as many questions as possible. But when you start going things a little bit more complicated, especially dealing with property, business, rentals, stock trade, sales, those kind of things, I would recommend getting a professional to do it. You can always just go to H&R Block in the off season and take one of their classes to kind of get knowledgeable. But we do a lot of corrections in regards to people that may have tried to do it themselves, or they went to someone else that probably wasn't as knowledgeable as they should be when they did their tax to make corrections on. So that does happen.
Do you have any other questions? No? All right. Well, we got a couple minutes left. Thank you, Mr. Burden, for your time.
Okay.
It doesn't look like anybody else has any questions.
Okay. No,
So we appreciate it.
I did want to let you know, I got the question in regards to, is that a Mr. or Mrs. Silk?
Yeah. Miss
Silk. I can't do the 11/24. I can't do that today. I can reschedule it because I got an emergency meeting at 12. I got to take care of.
Okay, I can give the teacher a call and is there another day that you would be willing to talk to her class though?
Yeah, I sent the message, responded just, hey, we can just reschedule it. I just can't do it today. And I apologize, because I did send the message saying I could do it, so I'm sorry about that. But just let her know I sent it to reschedule, and we'll get her squared away from there. But I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. Thank you.
Okay, you quite well. Y'all take care. Real quick, I just want to let you guys know again, you can always go to the YouTube channel, Mr. Short Dollar, on YouTube, Mr. Short Dollar. You can go to the YouTube channel. And again, we talk about personal finance, business, and entrepreneurship. A lot of great information, especially people that are young and want to learn about personal finance, business, entrepreneur. So go check that YouTube channel out, Mr. Short Dollar. And then, all my contact information is there. So if you got any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to me, okay?
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
Have a good day.
You too.